What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? We are back with another live stream. This is going to be a longer live stream. I just want to warn you guys. Um, Now, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on this stream. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys leave whatever comment you want, but make sure you just, most importantly, leave a like on this stream and subscribe to the channel. We got a bunch to go over today. You're looking at a 1.5 hour stream, maybe 2 hours, something in that range. We got a lot to go over. We got, I wanted to go over the Commanders' guarantees in this draft. Who are the Commanders' guarantees in this draft? We're going to go over that. Like, what positions are a guarantee for the Commanders to draft? We're going to go over strongly interested positions and players that we're going to see for next Thursday. We're going to go over all of that. Guarantee strongly interested players and things the Commanders want through the 2025 NFL draft. So make sure you guys just leave a like on this stream if you're in here. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys comment anything you would like. So I would like to start by discussing the pick at 29. Let's just go ahead and discuss the pick at 29. What is the overall consensus for the pick at 29? It's an edge rusher. A lot of people have us taking an edge rusher. A lot of people have us taking either a wide receiver, running back. We're going to go over that in today's live stream. We're going to, put some focus on what are the Commanders' guarantees for this draft? What positions are a guarantee for the draft? What positions are the Commanders strongly interested in drafting, and what round? We got a lot to go over today. So make sure if you are in here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. I would say the number one position for the Commanders that they want to draft right now would be an edge rusher. That's definitely the biggest need. But you could either see, you could see a running back. You could see a wide receiver at 29. We can really go anywhere. I've seen people have us taking a tight end at 29. So it really ranges from every different place. So make sure you guys hit that like button, and we will get into it in just a second. So the pick at 29. I mean, we are literally a week away, less than that. And it's 6 days. It's going to come fast. And we have to get to the bottom of who we're drafting. So that's what I'm going to try to let you guys know today. So I recently finished my wide receiver position, or my wide receiver series, my running back series, and cornerback series. Recently finished those. I've came to a conclusion who the best player at every position, in my opinion, is. So I finished those series. I've came to a conclusion on the players I like the best out of those three positions. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So we got 3 people in here so far. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you are in here. Greatly appreciate if you would hit that like button, and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. So I've recently finished those series. I have probably the best cornerback in this draft would be Jahdae Barron. Will Johnson, I don't necessarily like his 40-yard dash, so that's the reason he's going to be second on my list. Best wide receiver, I would obviously have Ted McMillan. Best running back, I would have Ashton Genty. Close second, Omarion Hampton. So let's go ahead and get into what we should be looking for in this draft before we address the elephant in the room, the edge rusher. Let's do a little free agency review to kind of tell you what we should be looking for the most in the 2025 NFL draft. So I'm going to give you my free agency review. So free agency went well. Started off by signing Javon Kinlaw, 3-year deal, $45 million, $30 million guaranteed. You start off by signing a big body, Javon Kinlaw, right? You address that interior defensive line. You're trying to stop the run the best you can. Adam Peters does a good job of that. So he takes care of that. Second big bomb was a trade for Laramie Tunsil. You get your left tackle, protect Jaden Daniels blindside, really works out well. So you get that done. You had already traded for Deebo Samuel. So second day of free agency, you get Will Harris, safety. Just to kind of we knew we were going to lose Jeremy Chin. So we wanted to shore up the safety position to make it not a need in the draft. And I'll tell you something that Adam Peters is doing. He is kind of making sure we don't have to draft anything in this draft. We don't have to draft a certain player. right? We can go for best player available at 29. That's what he's trying to do. If you guys didn't already know that, okay. So he is trying to get us to go best player available at 29. Okay, that's what Adam Peters is trying to let this team do. And he is doing a good job of it so far. We don't need an edge rusher. Okay, we don't need an edge rusher. I'll say that again. We don't need an edge rusher. We have Jacob Martin, who we signed in free agency. He hasn't had more than like one sack his whole career, though. That's the problem. He doesn't have the production. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you are in here, I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button. So make sure you guys hit that like button. So free agency, Adam Peters did a good job of making sure we didn't have to draft anyone. We can go best player available in this draft. That's what he did a good job of. So you sign the safeties, you sign the edge rusher you need, just to shore up that room. You get Jonathan Jones as a cornerback. You get Dietrich Wise. I really like that signing. He had 5 sacks last year. Again, you're stopping the run. You're also adding a defensive lineman. They re-signed a bunch of guys. Jalen Holmes. Sheldon Day. A few of those guys that you need that you felt like were an impact last year. Chris Rodriguez in the exclusive rights tender. Again, we don't need a running back. I haven't even addressed that yet. We don't need a running back. We don't need any position in the draft. Do we want a running back? Yes. Does Adam Peters want a running back? Yes. We're going to draft a running back. We're going to get into that. These are my guarantees, okay? My guarantees I'm going to get to a little bit later. I'm going to tell you the positions that are a guarantee for the Washington Commanders to go ahead and draft. Okay, but there's also positions that we want. They might not draft it, though. We only have 5 picks in this draft. You can't address every need, which is why free agency was so good for this team. We did get most of the needs for this team. So with that, let's go ahead. I've addressed a little bit of free agency and what had took place there, what we should be looking for in the draft. So let's go ahead and start with the greatly interested positions that the Commanders are looking for. The greatly interested positions will be wide receiver, tackle, and safety. Those are the greatly interested positions for Adam Peters and the Commanders. This is what I believe. The wide receiver position, obviously, you're greatly interested. Do you have to draft one? We don't, right? You sign Michael Gallup. You trade for Deebo Samuel. You have Terry. You re-sign out of the blue. You re-signed KJ Osborne. You re-signed Noah Brown, which was expected, but you re-signed KJ Osborne out of the blue. We don't need to draft a wide receiver. Do I think they will? Sure. But this is a greatly interested position. We can't say this is a guarantee like some of the other positions I'm going to get to later. We can't say it's a guarantee because we already have a lot of wide receivers on this roster. So we cannot say it's a guarantee. That's one of the things that a lot of people get mixed up. We're going to have to let some of these players not make the team because, it would be weird to have 7 wide receivers on a roster when you can only have 52 players. So we don't need a wide receiver. Are they greatly interested in a receiver? They are. And I'm going to go over some players that they are greatly interested at the position. So what the mold they're looking for at the receiver position is a big body wide receiver that can replace De'Ami Brown, add speed on the outside of Terry McLaurin. That's what they're looking for. They are looking for a big body speed wide receiver. Okay. You have guys like Pat Bryant. You can pick him at 128. You have guys like Dante Thornton. Pick him at 128. You have guys like Kai Williams. He's a 61 candidate. So you have those type of guys. They're looking for big body receivers. Big body receivers. That is exactly what they're trying to look for. And they're also looking for speed. They want speed just as much as anything at the receiver position. They want speed in this draft. So they're looking for guys with the best speed in this draft. And they are trying to get to the bottom of the guys that have the best speed. They like Merriman. I'll give you a few names. Before I do, though, there's 3 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you guys hit that like button right now. If you are in here, make sure you hit that like button. So what they're looking for, I give you some names at the receiver position. Ty Felton. He was at the local pro day. Really intriguing name. Dante Thornton at the local pro day. He's a big body. He has speed on the outside. That'd be the perfect candidate. And I think that's, quite frankly, who the Commanders probably will draft. Kyle Williams, a big speed guy, big body on the outside. Jaden Higgins, big guy. I believe he's like 6'4", And he's going to add you speed on the outside. The Commanders are definitely looking for a guy like Kyle Williams. They are looking for guys with speed and big bodies on the outside. Okay, that's exactly what they're looking for. I mean, I'm definitely on the right track here with this, because if you look at the guys that the Commanders have brought in, they have brought in guys that are above 6'3", at least above 6'3". Jaden Higgins 6'4", Dante Thornton 6'5". I know that Savion Williams is 6'5", and they're interested in drafting him. Ty Felton's a big body. So this is a greatly interested position. A wide receiver they're greatly interested in. I can't say it's a guarantee, though, because I listed those names: KJ Osborne, Noah Brown, Michael Gallup, Terry McLaurin, trade for Debo. You can't exactly say that the Commanders are going to draft a wide receiver, but they're greatly interested in the wide receiver position. And I listed some names, so make sure you guys take those into account for next Thursday. You need to be watching for guys like Kyle Williams, Dante Thornton, Ty Felton, Savion Williams, guys like that with big bodies that can play on the outside, that can provide speed and kind of be a replacement for De'Ami Brown. So before we get to the next thing, though, make sure you guys leave a like in here. We got 5 in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button right now. Hit that like button right now. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. They're looking for big body guys on the outside. That's what they want. Okay, they're looking for big body guys on the outside with speed that can replace De'Ami Brown. That's exactly what they're looking for. So I can definitely tell you that. They're greatly interested in the receiver position. They want a wide receiver in this draft. We only have 5 picks, though. If we trade back, it's likely to get a wide receiver because we get more draft capital. If they keep only those 5 picks, you might not see a wide receiver in this draft. It depends on what they do. But that's one of my greatly interested positions. The Commanders are greatly interested in drafting a wide receiver, guys with big bodies, guys that can go on the outside and add speed to the roster and go down the field vertically. So we've done the wide receiver position. We've talked the wide receiver position. Let's go ahead and get to the next position in my greatly interested category. So the next position is a tackle, right? This is not a secret. I'm going to give you the names like I did for the receiver position in a second. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys hit that like button. We got 8 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button right now if you are in here. It helps the channel out a lot. I'd greatly appreciate you if you could hit that like button. So they're looking for a tackle. They're greatly interested in a tackle or even a guard, right? You could go any position because this is the most flexible position in the draft. Guards and tackles, they can go anywhere, right? So one of the things is Nick Allegretti. He had a good season last year. He gets a lot of hate at this time of year, though, sadly, because people want his replacement. Who's the replacement going to be? We don't know, but I'd assume they might try to draft someone. This is a greatly interested position because you can't necessarily say like last year we had our eye on a left tackle. This year, you can't necessarily say that the Commanders, they're definitely going to draft a guard or a tackle. You can't say that. It is a greatly interested position for the team, though. They'd like to add another guy. Right now, your swing tackle is Foster Sorrell, who a lot of you haven't even heard of. We signed him in free agency from the Chargers. Foster Sorrell right now is the swing tackle, and I'm not comfortable with that. We signed Nate Herbig, center. I'm not comfortable with that either. So I think they should go out there and attack a guard or just any type of offensive lineman because they can move them around. They can use them very well. They are looking for a tackle in this draft. They're for sure 100%. It doesn't mean they're going to draft one. No. Did they do their due diligence in free agency? They did. Foster Sorrell, Nate Herbig. That's who we signed in free agency. And quite frankly, that would work for the season. Would it be the best? It wouldn't. But they are looking for tackles. Now, let me get into the names of this draft that are very possible for the Commanders. So this is going to be a late round pick too. If I didn't mention that, it's going to be a late round pick. The guys that they're going to get are going to be late round picks. We're not going to go out there and shoot for the fences on the first 29th pick. Now, it could be best player available. If the best player available on the board is a tackle, they could do that. But, and that's where we come back to, they've done such a good job of free agency. You can take any position. So I would look for 7th round or even 6th round Miles Frazier out of LSU. He's a guard. He can really be he can bounce around on the offensive line. He can go in there and play for Nick Allegretti. I know a lot of people are looking for an upgrade at that position, the left guard position. He can play anywhere. Jake Majors out of Texas is another guy that you should watch in the 6th or 7th round. Interesting name. He could provide you a lot of value. He can play center. I know they met with him multiple times, so he's definitely a candidate. And then I look for 3rd or 4th round for Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia. He was at the local pro day, I do believe, and he could play a lot of different positions. He can be a tackle for you, and you can really upgrade a bunch of different positions by drafting him. So we're looking for an offensive lineman. Like I said, I categorize this in the strongly interested. I don't categorize it in the need. We don't need a tackle. Just because you did such a good job in free agency. The 2 biggest names I'd look for the Commanders, though, is Jake Major and Miles Frazier. LSU and Texas prospects. Both of those guys are definitely guys that you need to watch because they've met with both of them. They know them well, and they could easily draft one of them in the later rounds. Again, we're probably not going to target a tackle or guard in the early rounds unless there's a solid one where we pick at, unless it's great value. So that is my second greatly interested position for the Commanders. You need to look for a tackle for the Commanders, right? They are greatly interested in drafting one of them. Could be Joshua Gray out of Oregon State. You never know who it could be. So that's my second greatly interested position, is the tackle position for the Commanders. My third position is a safety for the Commanders. It's, greatly interested. Wide receiver, tackle, safety is my last greatly interested position for the Commanders. Let's take a deep dive in free agency. We lost Jeremy Chin to the Raiders. Obviously, I thought they were going to resign him back. I would have liked us to resign Jeremy Chin back, but we weren't going to pay him the money he wanted to be paid. And that's what it is. We've already seen Adam Peters. He doesn't want to put up with guys that complain a lot. He's like, guys that complain, he's like, bye. We don't need you. We're going to go out and do good stuff in free agency. So that's kind of what that's what Adam Peters does. And I can say that they are looking at the safety position heavily. All right. I do have some names in mind for a little bit later. But before we get to those, leave a like on this stream right now. Make sure you guys leave a like on the stream right now. It pushes it out to more people. Hit that like button if you could. So safety position, I mean, they would look for a strong safety or a free safety, I believe, because we signed Will Harris in free agency, but we did lose Jeremy Chin. You're paying Will Harris less money, and Will Harris is still almost as good as Jeremy Chin, so I don't mind it, right? We have Quan Martin. He's a stud. He's going to be in year 3, I believe, this year. He's a stud. He's going to just turn into more this year. He had a pick 6 in the Lions game last year. He is a star. He's going to turn into even more of a star player this year in that Dan Quinn defense. He loves it. So that position's locked up, right? Quan Martin, strong safety, that's locked up. Will Harris is the position we look for an upgrade over. While Will Harris is likely to be the week 1 starter, you never know. They could add a safety in the draft. And this is why this is one of my strongly interested for Adam Peters and the Commanders. Strongly interested. They're only strongly interested in a safety because they can't say it's a need. You can't say a safety is a need for this team. So that's why I have this listed as a strongly guaranteed position for the Commanders. You can't necessarily say that they need a safety because they don't. They went out and got Will Harris in free agency, so you cannot say that. But some notable names. Jonas Sanker was at the local pro day, V-Tech guy. Jonas Sanker, Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State. He'd be a very good prospect at the safety position. He would be a name you need to watch. You need to watch Malachi Moore out of Alabama, R.J. Mickens out of Clemson. All these guys are candidates for this safety position for the Washington Commanders. If you are in here, make sure you hit that like button. Everyone in here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button for me. Helps out the channel a lot. Make sure you hit that like button. basically, so the safety position, Jonas Sanker, Malachi Moore, RJ Mickens, Kevin Winston Jr., all those guys. Could I see a safety being drafted in the first round? Not likely, but if a guy like Nick Evauluations falls to you at 29, yeah, I think you probably have to take him because you say you're taking best player available. That's best player available. Nick Evauluations, safety out of South Carolina. So you should go ahead and take him if he's there at 29. Malachi Starks, probably same thing. I mean, if he's there at 29, it's hard to pass up on a guy like him. You could really upgrade the position. He'd be a name you have to watch. We could really take a safety anywhere. I could see it being second round with Kevin Winston Jr., Jonas Sanker. I could see it being first round with the guys I just listed, Malachi Starks, Nick Evauluations, if they're still there. I could see it being third round with guys, Malachi Moore, RJ Mickens, fourth round even. So you have really a lot to work with at the safety position. You have a lot of guys you could select in this draft. It's a very deep safety class, and that's what I like about it. We're looking for a safety in this draft. This is the perfect draft to get your safety at. I mean, I'm fine with Will Harris. If we go into week 1 with Will Harris and Quan Martin, would you be mad? Probably not. I don't think any of us would. You shouldn't be. So that wraps up the safety position. That's a strongly interested in position for the Washington Commanders. They're strongly interested in drafting a safety, but it's not a need. It's not a it's a want for everyone on the Washington Commanders staff and in the building. So let's move to the the guarantees in this draft for the Washington Commanders. As you probably know most of these positions, which are guarantees. You guys probably know that. Okay, it's not a secret what the guarantees are for the Commanders in this draft. Could they go another direction? Yes, but these are my guarantees for the Washington Commanders in this year's draft class. I have a few positions: edge rusher, cornerback, and running back. So let's start with the edge rusher position. Guarantees in this draft for the Washington Commanders. Before we get to this, make sure you guys hit that like button on the stream right now. Hit that like button. Let's get to the guarantees right now. So an edge rusher is obviously a guarantee in this draft. At some point in this draft, we're going to come away with an edge rusher, whether you believe it or not. Okay, and anybody can tell you this. Adam Peters himself will tell you this. At some point, we're going to come away with an edge rusher. It's a matter of when. Could it be 29? Certainly it could be 29. Could it be 61? That's most likely the time they're going to select one. Maybe they do it at 29. Maybe they do it at 128. They've worked out guys like Tyler Barron, who's a later round guy. They've worked out guys like who's a guy? Josiah Stewart, who could possibly be there at 128. Jack Sawyer could be there at 128. They've worked out a lot of these guys that you could see them selecting at 128. It could be anything. It could be any position, but I can definitely guarantee you that they will walk away with an edge rusher at the end of the 2025 NFL draft. So we need a guy who can get to the quarterback, right? We need a pass rusher who can get to the quarterback. And we need to compete with teams like Philly who build the trenches up. And, I think by adding this edge rusher, which they're going to do in the draft, it's why it's a guarantee, they can solidify the edge rusher position. They can get their pass rusher and a guy. I think some of the top names, Shamar Stewart, I've been hearing is really a name for the Commanders to watch. Donovan Izaraku rising up draft boards, probably not going to be there at 29, if we're being realistic. Nick Scorton, guys like James Pierce Jr., guys like Mike Green, even Michael Williams. So you have a bunch of different options, right? If you don't select one in the first round, well, then you're at 61 and you have you still have a bunch of options. This is a deep edge class. In the second round, you have guys like Josiah Stewart, Femi Oladejo, who they really, really like. They've had multiple meetings with Femi Oladejo. They said he's the guy they want in their locker room. I was watching the Commanders Log, the show on YouTube the other day, and one of the biggest highlights was Femi Oladejo, the edge rusher out of UCLA. They were talking about him, and they were saying that he was, on every team's bingo board if you need an edge rusher. So because of the guy he is in the locker room. And we know how high Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are on guys that are great in the locker room. They're really, really high on those guys. So you could just see them. You could just see the writing on the wall. Femi Oladejo has that commander tag. 4.5 sacks last season. Not bad production. That's good production compared to a guy like Shamar Stewart, who had 4 sacks his whole career in college football. So I'd rather have Femi than Shamar, okay? I'd rather have him. He has long arms. He's able to get to the quarterback. He's going to do what you need him to do. He does have one of the lowest win rates in terms of pass rush. I did see that, but that's not big. We can coach him up. He'd work in a Dan Quinn scheme. So, he's very possible at the edge rusher position. So those are the kind of tier 2 guys: Josiah Stewart, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimalau, Femi Oladejo, like I said. So you have those type of guys. We can really select edge rusher anywhere. The one thing I want you guys to know, and the one thing I know, it's a guarantee in this draft. An edge rusher is a guarantee in this draft for the Washington Commanders. Whether you want to comment something about it or not, it's a guarantee in this draft for the Commanders. They are going to take an edge rusher in this draft. Okay, they are going to. And I know that a lot of you guys don't want them to pass up on an edge rusher in the first round, but they could easily pass up on an edge rusher in the first round. I've seen that's our biggest need, right? We just need a guy to get to the quarterback. That's our biggest need right now. That's really virtually the only need on the team. In these positions we're about to get to could also be considered a need too. But the edge rusher position is a strong need, and that's a guarantee for the Washington Commanders in the 2025 NFL draft. It's absolutely a guarantee. They will come out with an edge rusher in this draft. And so you think to yourself, well, what if they somehow don't, right? This is one of my guarantees, and I'm still giving you this scenario. What if they don't come out with an edge rusher? I know I said this is a guarantee, but what if they don't come out with an edge rusher? Then you're looking at guys like Matthew Judon, available in free agency. So Matthew Judon, you have Von Miller, you have Zadarius Smith, probably my favorite candidate. And so those are the guys you're looking at if you don't come away with an edge rusher, but they will. And then the undrafted free agents that you're looking at as well. So either, there's still options if we didn't come away with an edge rusher, but it's a draft guarantee that we're going to draft an edge rusher. So that's what I need to tell you guys. It's a guarantee that we're going to take an edge rusher. The position's very deep in the class. Yes, you do have guys that could be there at 29 that they might pass on, that you guys might be mad about. They're not going to be mad about it. James Pierce Jr., obviously all the issues he's had with people accusing him of, his the guy he is in the locker room, and if he really loves football, to me that's a little bit overblown, but it's still a theme. Mike Green doesn't get enough talk about his issues. He has 2 sexual assault issues. He has 2 different women from different states accusing him of sexual things. So you have to watch Mike Green too. If he's there at 29, they could pass him up, because the reason he's probably going to fall down if he does last till 29 would be because of those sexual things. So, you never know what the Commanders could do. They could pass up on an edge rusher, but this class is deep. So they could go anywhere. There's so many tiers in this draft. I gave you the tier 3 guys: Tyler Barron, Jack Sawyer, even JT Tuimalau. Those are the tier 3 guys. Tier 2 guys: Josiah Stewart, Femi Oladejo. Some of those other guys, even Jack Sawyer could be tier 2. Tier 1 guys, obviously Nick Scorton, Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, James Pierce Jr., Donovan Ezeraku. My favorite is Donovan Ezeraku. They took him at 29. I'd be stoked. Give me him at 29 all day. Give me him at 29. I love it. I'd be absolutely amazed with it because you guys might think I am wrong on this, but I just did my edge rusher series. I think Donovan Ezeraku is the second best pass rusher in this class. Okay, he's the most polished pass rusher. If you want, you got to see what you're looking at. If you want a guy that can get to the quarterback right now that doesn't need any development, it's Donovan Ezeraku. If you want a guy that you can develop, that you can really coach, that you might not start week 1, that's more of a guy like Femi Oladejo or Josiah Stewart that need that training and work to get to the level they need to be a starter in this league. Does Femi Oladejo tell me that he's a starter right now? He doesn't. He doesn't represent himself as a starter. So does Ezeraku? Yes, he's a starter in this league. He's ready for it now. And quite frankly, if he's there at 29, I'd be very upset if they passed on him because of, he's not getting past Philly, right? Even if we trade back to 35, 36, 37, somewhere in that range, he's not getting past Philly. He's not even getting past the Bills or the Chiefs, right? And then two teams before us at 29, the Ravens, the Lions, they both need pass rushers. He might not even get past there. So this is a deep class, and we have plenty of options. But that being said, my favorite is Donovan Ezraku. Obviously, my favorite would be Abdul Carter, but we're not going to get him. He's gone 2 or 3. So there's your edge rusher position. That's a that's a guarantee in this draft. The Commanders will come out with an edge rusher in the 2025 NFL draft. That's one of my draft guarantees. Before we get to the next thing, though, make sure you guys hit that like button. We got 8 people in here. Hit that like button for me. Helps out the channel a lot. Pushes out the live stream. Hit that like button, people. So let's get to the next position that is a guarantee for the Commanders in this draft. The next position is a cornerback, an outside corner specifically. If your intent is to move Mike Sanderstill to the inside, back where he belongs in the nickel position, then you need an outside corner to fill that position. Now I'll start with the absolutely stupid Lions season, Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander trade rumors for the Commanders. That's not happening. They're focused on the draft. They're not going to trade for him. So that's just one thing I'll say. I'll get out of the way. They're not trading for those guys. They're not trading for him. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. It's stupid trade rumors. We're on to the draft, right? Could there be one more big bomb? Yes, but that'd be more likely to happen with Trey Hendrickson. So, But anyway, getting back to the cornerback position, we need an outside corner if your intent is going to be moving Mike Sanderstill inside. If Mike Sanderstill stays outside, then we need an inside corner. We did re-sign Noah Benogany, so I guess he could play there. But right now, you're looking at Maxwell Hairston, Azarai Thomas, Will Johnson if he falls all the way to 29, which I don't think he will. Jahdae Barron, if he falls, he's probably going to go pretty early, though. And so you have a stacked cornerback class, too. It's a deep cornerback class. But the one guy that would be considered, not to me, but considered to others as a tier 3 guy is Noah Williams, cornerback out of California. He'd be considered a tier 3 guy to others, as you can see by the draft boards and stuff. Noah Williams out of California is my guy. I love Noah Williams. I think he is a star. I think he could be a day one starter on this team for the Commanders. Move him to the outside, and he could be perfect for this team. Would he fit in the Dan Quinn scheme? Would he fit in the Joe Witt Jr. defense? I think he would. I think Noah Williams is one of my favorite draft prospects at the cornerback position. He would be ahead of a guy on my board like Azarai Thomas. Noah Williams is ahead of Azarai Thomas in my draft predictions, right? That's what I think. I know a lot of you are going to disagree with that, but let's start with the tier 3 cornerbacks here. Like I said, cornerback position is a guarantee for the Washington Commanders in this draft. So let's go with the tier 3 cornerbacks here. Noah Williams, Quincy Riley. Quincy Riley, we worked out him the other day. He was at the top 30 visit, multiple meetings with Quincy Riley. He would be a candidate at 128. So let's get to the tier 3 guys. So, like I said, Noah Williams, like I said, Quincy Riley. You have guys like, Zy Frazier at 128. You have guys like, Zy Alexander. So there's just 4 guys in the tier 3 category. Tier 2 category would be Azarai Thomas, Maxwell Hairston, Those are my tier 2 players. Yeah, I think that's Trey Amos, tier 2. There's a tier 2. Tier 1 guys, Jahdae Barron, Will Johnson. That's basically all I have in tier 1. Trey Amos is putting himself up there. I've seen him mocked to the Commanders at 29 before. He could be a candidate at 29 for the Commanders, but do I see it happening? Probably not. The cornerback position is a guarantee for the Commanders in this draft. Definitely a guarantee. The Commanders will draft a cornerback. I mean, what would you do if you if you don't come out with a cornerback in this draft, because then you have to force Mikey to be outside an outside cornerback, which he's not meant to be. We didn't draft him for that. But say that happens, we don't come out with the cornerback. Then you have to force Mikey to play on the outside last year, or which worked last year. This year probably won't work. We'd have to force Mikey to play on the outside, and quite frankly, he's just not fast enough for that. If Mikey was a little bit faster, he could play on the outside, but not against those top receivers in this draft class. Or in the draft. Mikey's not going to be able to play the tier 1 wide receivers. So you'd have to keep him outside. If you couldn't get, one of those top tier guys, you'd have to keep him outside. You'd have to move him in places that he doesn't want to be. You'd have to use Noah Igbenogany on the inside. You'd have to put obviously Marshawn Lattimore on the outside, and you have to force Jonathan Jones on the inside, which quite frankly I don't think would probably work. He's more of an outside guy. So we need to come away with the cornerback here. It's just going to fit the team better. A cornerback is needed for this team, and it's a guarantee in the 2025 NFL draft. A guarantee for the Commanders. Cornerback position is the guarantee for the Washington Commanders in the 2025 NFL draft. All right, let's get to the next position here. Next position that is a guarantee for the Washington Commanders is a running back. So recent talks about a running back. Some people like to say we hate Brian Robinson Jr. We don't. But before I get into all this, though, make sure you guys leave a like make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you leave a like on this stream if you could be so kind to do so. Hit that like button, guys. Let's go ahead and get into the position. The running back position, like I was saying, is the next guarantee for the Washington Commanders in this draft. We're going to draft a running back no matter if it's the 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. It could be any round. Obviously, we don't have a rounder, though. We don't have a 5th rounder either. So 3rd and 5th are not an option, though. So sorry for saying that. 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 6th and 7th could be an option. So we are going to come out with a running back, right? I did my recent running back reviews and my recent running back ratings on the channel, and I obviously had Ashton Jeanty as number 1, but a close second was Omarion Hampton. Ashton Jeanty did not play the competition that Omarion Hampton did. Ashton Jeanty was playing on rookie mode in Madden and was obviously balling, right? But Omarion Hampton's playing, so think about it like this. Omarion Hampton is playing hard mode on Madden and is still putting up good numbers and looking like a star. Ashton Jeanty's playing rookie mode on Madden and he's putting up good numbers, but he's not playing the good competition. Look at it like this. The one game that Ashton Jeanty played against a really, really good defense was Penn State. What did Ashton Jeanty do in the Penn State game? Nothing. Ashton Jeanty was shut down for 4 quarters straight. Nothing in the Penn State game. Nothing. Okay? And I know I shouldn't be going into this much detail about Ashton Jeanty, but because he's not a candidate for the Washington Commanders, but he got shut down by Penn State. He can dog on those bad teams, but when he gets to those good teams, it might not work. All right, and he is really hyped. Yes, I'm hyped on Ashton Jeanty. Yes, he's a good player. He is not the as good of a player, though, as you might think. Penn State shut him down last year. Omarion Hampton is, I think, maybe the better overall back. Okay? Some of you disagree. Some of you don't like that, and it is what it is. That's my take. You can type in the comments below if you have another take about it. But either way, Omarion Hampton and Ashton Jeanty, those aren't candidates for the Commanders based off of 29th pick. Omarion Hampton's not falling. He's not getting past teams like the Broncos, who are running back needy. He's not getting past teams like, the Bengals. He probably wouldn't even get against past the Bears. So either way, I think Omarion Hampton and Ashton Genty are out of the question for the Commanders, right? I think we can agree on that. I think that some of these other guys, like Caleb Johnson, and then wow, this is a really deep running back class, so we can get into these guys. I'll start with the tier one guys. The tier one guys in this running back class are Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton. Even I think Caleb Johnson would be close to tier one, but not quite up there. I think Travion Henderson would be really close there too. Tier two guys. And let me tell you guys what separates these guys. Ashton Genty, what separates him is he's kind of like beast mode. What's his name? Marshawn Lynch. He just runs with power, shakes defenders, gets a bunch of yards after, defenders already make contact with him. Really shifty, really strong, and just a good force in the backfield. Knows how to cut through lanes. Omarion Hampton is an all-around back. The Commanders said they want a dynamic three-down back. I don't think he's going to be there at 29, but if he was, I think that'd probably be the choice just for best player available. I think that Omarion Hampton is a well-rounded back. I think that he is a good pass catcher. He's a better blocker than Ashton Genty. Good pass catcher, like I said. Good runner. Maybe not as physical as Ashton Genty, but a good runner. Your tier two running backs in this class, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, and I would even go as far to say, as you guys might think I'm bad for this, DJ Giddens is in that conversation for me too, because he is so good to watch. His tape is so good at Kansas State. He is criminally underrated in this class. Those are your tier two guys. Travion Henderson, obviously he fits that Commander's tag. He's going to be able to go out there and block. He's going to be able to go out there and make catches on the outside. He's also a very polished running back. Very good at running the football. Very physical guy too. He plays as hard as he can every single down, and that's what you ask for. Quinshon Judkins, not as good of a pass blocker as his teammate Travion Henderson, but he is good at running, and he is pretty physical too, can shake guys down the field. I think DJ Giddens is a solid option for the Commanders too. Like I said, he's really, really shifty. He can be a solid option for the Commanders. He can get by defenders, shifty, physical, good pass blocker, tries his hardest every down. Solid option out of K-State. And I'll throw one more guy. No, we'll wait till tier three. So those are your tier two guys for the Commanders at the running back position. Tier three guys are RJ Harvey, Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon out of K-State, who we met with the other day, Ja'Cory Krosky, who actually was, this is a story that I'll tell you. Ja'Cory Krosky out of Arizona, he was ineligible to play last year. He started out, he played like 4 or 5 games last year, had 108 yards. And he actually got kicked out from playing because he was ineligible due to red shirt issues and stuff like that. So that's definitely interesting. And then you have, like I said, Devin Neal, RJ Harvey, Dylan Sampson would be in my tier 3. He could be available at 128. So those are the tiers of the running backs. Definitely a solid running back class. I mean, you have a bunch of options. You could take one at 29, which would probably be Travion Henderson. Again, I don't see Omarion Hampton and Ashton Genty being there at 29. So if you were to take a running back, that'd be Travion Henderson. Jordan Reed, ESPN NFL analyst, draft expert, he actually does have the Commanders taking Travion Henderson at 29. So, and let me tell you something here. You can't just go off, the draft boards and the mock draft simulators. They'll have Travion Henderson almost every time at pick 61, and that's not accurate. He's going to go probably in the first round, in my opinion. So Travion Henderson, you could take him. That would be the only guy I'd be open to taking at 29. Other guys, I do think Quinshon Judkins could be there at 61. I think definitely DJ Giddens will be there at 61. Either of those guys, take DJ Giddens at 61. He's criminally underrated. He's one of my favorite in this class. Take Ollie Gordon at 61, and I'd be fine with it. He had a dog year last year at Oklahoma State. He was balling last year at Oklahoma State. Solid option of running back. Dylan Sampson, You have I didn't even talk about Bashul Tootin. I forgot about him out of Virginia Tech. He's also a solid option, but he's had 9 fumbles over the past 2 years. So Bashul Tootin, I'll give you a analogy about him. He's like a Ferrari that can't really drive the car. Like, he has a Ferrari in his garage, but he can't drive a stick. That's what Bashul Tootin is. It's due to his fumbling. He has every single trait you like in a running back. He just can't hold on to the ball. That's his one knock. If the Commanders take him in this draft at 128, I think he'll be there because of his fumbling issues. If they take him at 128, sure. They've expressed their interest in him. I like him. Just hold on to the football. We can work on getting you to hold on to the football. Just make sure you hold on to it. We can work on that, though. Dylan Sampson, give me him. One of his issues was fumbling last year as well. Not as big of a fumbler as Tootin is, but he certainly does fumble the football, puts it on the ground a lot. If we can get that fixed up, I love Dylan Sampson. I think that at 61, that'd be a solid option. I love Dylan Sampson. But I said I like DJ Giddens. I have so many running backs I like in this class. You have a lot of options. I even like RJ Harvey out of UCF. He's a solid option. He could easily work for this team. So the running back class is really deep. And that is why I say this is a guarantee for the Commanders in this class or in this draft. I named you 3 positions that we're going to come out within the draft: edge, cornerback, and running back. The running back position is a guarantee in this class, right? It is, okay? And it's due to its deep value. You can find guys at 205. You can find guys at 245, right? Or you could select one at 29. You could go anywhere with the running back position. That's why it's such a deep position, and it provides so much value every single pick we have. 29, 61, 128, 205, 245, and that's if we don't even trade back, right? So we could go anywhere. We could easily draft a running back. We will. That's why it's one of my draft guarantees. We're going to draft a running back, folks. We're going to draft a running back. And it's not a secret. I think everybody knows it at this point. And we saw, let me check something real quick. We saw John Keim, what he had to say about us drafting a running back. Okay, so yeah, John Keim said that we want a dynamic back, but we also want a 3-down back. So we could take Travion Henderson at 29, but if you take Travion Henderson at 29, that's a compliment to Brian Robinson Jr. If you take Omarion Hampton at 29, if he's even there, that's a replacement for Brian Robinson Jr. You have to know what you're looking at here. You have to know guys that are replacements and compliments to our current running backs that we have. Okay, Hampton is a guy that's going to be a replacement for Brian Robinson Jr. Henderson is a guy that's going to be a compliment to Brian Robinson Jr. So you really have to know what you're looking at with this class. You really have to understand what you have in this running back class. DJ Giddens, again, replacement. Ollie Gordon, replacement. And I'm saying replacement for Brian Robinson Jr., okay? Because that's our main back right now. People don't like Brian Robinson Jr. It's not that I don't like him. It's just that we can't keep having Jaden Daniels being the leading rusher on the stat sheet every week. I can't keep doing these post games and seeing Jaden Daniels being the leading rusher for the team every single week. I can't see it. And granted, Brian Robinson Jr. dealt with injuries all year last year. I understand that, and I'm not, I understand that, but at some point we can't keep dealing with your injuries. I understand that. We're trying to give you a chance. I don't hate B-Rob at all. I think he's a solid player. I think through the first 7 games of the season, B-Rob starts out as a top 10 running back. But as the season goes, game 7, game 8, he starts to get hurt. He just starts to get wounded up, and he just doesn't. He's not the same player, and he becomes a top 20 running back. So it's interesting what you have to look for in this class, and the guys that you have to look for. But to round out the running back position, Most of the backs would be a replacement for B-Rob, but Henderson, compliment. Judkins, probably a compliment. But we've gone over a lot of running backs. Like Ja'Cory Krosky, I said, out of Auburn. We met with him. Caleb Johnson, met with him late on the top 30 visits. We met with him, I believe, Wednesday, because that was the last day of top 30 visits. Top 30 visits are over now. We can't bring anyone else in. And that's what one of the things we're going to do later in the show is I'm going to review what this means in the draft, the positions that we've had top 30 visits with. I'm going to review that to you guys. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today is like we have positions that we brought in and positions in top 30s that we brought in that are going to tell you stuff about what we want in this draft. And that's how I made this video. I looked at the whole stat sheet of the players we brought in for top 30 visits. Since they're over now, we've seen the whole list. It is important to make this. I think the guarantees and the strongly interested positions that I have are completely accurate because of the top 30 visits and the top 30 list that I've been able to look at. Now I'll pull up on the screen some top 30 visits for you guys that we've had. Obviously, it's interesting to see who the Commanders have met with. So let me find I've heard that the Commanders also had a few meetings the other day too. I mean, it's been honestly crazy to see, all these players. So Ty Felton, I also wanted to get into him a little bit. He is a guy that the Commanders could definitely draft. We brought him in. We met with him a bunch of times. He said the Commanders have stuck out to him. So it's interesting news to talk about Ty Felton. All right. So if I can get a list here, it's going to be most of the guys. So yeah, okay. So we'll start with let's start with these top 30 visits, and I'll add what I know on, and I'm going to give you guys the analysis. What does this mean? I've already given you the guaranteed and strongly interested players in this draft for the Washington Commanders. Let's break down these top 30 visits now, okay? As I've given you the guarantees and strongly interested. So these are the top 30 visits. We're here. To start off the list is Josh Connerly Jr. out of my school, Oregon. Obviously my favorite football school. Don't even live near him. Obviously live in DC, but it's interesting to see Josh Connerly on here. He could be there at 29. Draft boards usually do have him there at 29, but I just don't know. I think he has tremendous value. Anthony Belton, tackle, interesting guy. I believe he is, a really solid player. Jared Christian Lintonhan, he is an interesting guy. Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia, who I actually gave you as a player, as an example of a strongly interested position, which is the tackle position. As you can see right here, this is a strongly interested position because of the 4 tackles that we brought in. If we would have only brought in 1 tackle, it's not really a strongly interested position. But since we bring in 4, it tells me that they want a tackle. They're looking for tackles. Where do you see guard on here? You don't. You see tackles. They're looking for tackles, guys. This is a strongly interested position for the Washington Commanders, and you can just tell by the guys that they brought in. Would they draft Josh Connerly Jr. at 29? That's the question. Would he be there at 29? That's another question. I think it could be, but I think that's a long shot. I think, one of these other guys like Anthony Belton, Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia, Jared Christian Lintonhan could be more reasonable for the Commanders to select. But again, if Josh Connerly Jr. is there at 29 out of Oregon, I think you have to take him. And I think they will. They said best player available. So I think that they will be able to do that. Here is another position, wide receiver, that I gave you as a strongly interested position for the Commanders. Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. He's a big body, and he is a guy that, he could be at 29. I've seen him mocked to the Commanders at 29. An interesting player and a guy that I would love to see as a Commander. 29, I'd take him 61. That's tremendous value. Take him if he's there at 61. Do I think he's going to be there at 61? Probably not, though. So, and then other wide receiver, Arian Smith, probably going to go undrafted. I believe he was at the local pro day that the Commanders hosted. So this tells me, is again, the wide receiver position is a position that the Commanders would like to draft, but it's strongly interested. They're strongly interested in that position. They're not guaranteed to draft a wide receiver. Will we want them to? Yes, of course we want them to, but it's not a position that they need to draft because, like I said, I've already reviewed, the players that they brought in through free agency. Re-signed KJ Osborne out of the blue. Re-signed Noah Brown. Signed Michael Gallup. And so and they did lose De'Ami Brown. So really, if we didn't lose De'Ami Brown, we wouldn't be drafting a wide receiver because, you look at it, these guys here are big body guys that they're looking at. We to add to this receiver position, we have brought in Pat Bryant, Ty Felton, and Dante Thornton Jr. Those are three of the other guys that we brought in. So add right here where my cursor is, add Dante Thornton, add Ty Felton, and add Pat Bryant. Two guys or three guys that are over pretty much taller than these two guys right here. They want big body guys on the outside. They want speed guys. Again, this isn't anything new. This is what they want. This is what they're looking for. This is exactly what they're looking for in this draft class. Big body guys to replace De'Ami Brown. They want speed on the outside. They also want a big body to go up and make contested catches. I believe they were trying to do it last year. We remember that they had Martavis Bryant. They tried to sign him, tried to make that work. It didn't work. They have always, all along, wanted big body speed guys on the outside, and they want them to work. So add the other guys too. Pat Bryant, Trey Harris, Ty Felton, Dante Thornton, all huge guys. I've heard they're interested in Savion Williams. And even add to this receiver position, I have heard that the Commanders might have met with Luther Burden. That's just what I've heard. It's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. Could he be a candidate at 29? Yes, he's definitely. I believe he'll be there at 29. Will the Commanders take him? I think they should. I think they could. Emeka Egbuka as well. They haven't met with him, but he could definitely be a candidate at 29. But he doesn't really fit that size category. They're looking for big body speed guys. Emeka Egbuka fits the speed, but the size, not necessarily. And then if you add Luther Burden, he could be a yards after catch guy. Deebo Samuel, we assume that he's going to leave in a year. And so Deebo Samuel, after his contract year's up this year, we need a replacement. And Luther Burden's literally Deebo Samuel 2.0, just faster than Deebo Samuel. So that's what it is. If we draft Luther Burden, you have a deadly trio for 1 year, and then maybe they resign Deebo Samuel. If they don't, you do have Luther Burden to step in and fill in that position. So an interesting wide receiver build that they want. They're looking for multiple different guys at the wide receiver position. Most notable would be Pat Bryant and Kyle Williams. Those are big guys, and those are guys that they want in this draft. Those are guys that they're looking for, right? So that's the wide receiver position. Running back position, I find it hard to believe that they haven't met with TreVeyon Henderson or Quinshon Judkins, but I'm going to add, running backs to this too. They have met with Caleb Johnson, and they have met with Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt. They met with Ollie Gordon. These guys are just solid prospects. I mean, obviously, you like to see DJ Giddens on here. You like to see Dylan Sampson. You like to see Henderson, but they are looking for a certain guy, and they actually did a private workout with what's his name? Sorry, Bashal Tootin. Let me actually see if I can get anything. Let's see if Ben has anything here. Ben Standig. So It's time. Choose. Okay, no. I just wondered if Ben would have anything here about the top 30s. Um, this was the top golf here that they had. Let's go with the list I already had. Let's go with the list I already had. Let's go with the list I already had, which was right here. So to continue, Caleb Johnson, and Ollie Gordon, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt are the guys I know of. I think they probably would have had more in, and Basul Tootin for a private. So, and this is also wrapping up. This is the position that I said was a guarantee. It's a guarantee they're going to draft one of these guys. In the 7th round, you could see Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt just because he played like 4 games last year due to ineligibility issues. So you could see him. Ollie Gordon would be more of a 2nd, 4th round guy. I keep forgetting they don't have a 3rd. But running back's a guarantee through this class. Let's see. Okay. So the edge rusher position, like I said, this was my other guarantee. Wow, these guarantees are really shaping up nice, by the way. Cornerback, edge, running back. There is a lot of names there, which means my guarantees look to be right. So they brought in Donovan Ezaraku, edge out of Boston College. They want to get a read on him. They want to know what kind of guy he is in the locker room. They want to know what he is and what kind of guy he is, right? They are extremely interested in Donovan Ezaraku if he falls to 29. He fits that Commander's tag. He's the most polished edge rusher in this draft. He is the guy that you want at 29. He's the most polished. He never gives up. Like, he will keep driving offensive guards and tackles back farther and farther and farther in his hands. He has good swim moves. He's able to get to the quarterback. 17 sacks last year. That's tremendous production. Him as a Commander, I can see it right now if he falls to 29. Ashton Gillett out of Louisville is another guy. I love Ashton Gillett. I think if he's there at 128, which he probably won't be, but if he is, take him. If he's there at 61, you could take him. Not my favorite at 61, but Ashton Gillett, a solid prospect out of Louisville, had 4.5 sacks last year. He is another guy that I love, and I think fits the Commander's tag. We're one of the only teams that has met with them, so it shows tremendous interest. Aiden Huntington out of Tulane, edge rusher. He was at the local pro day. He might not get drafted. He's the read on him right now is he's probably not going to get drafted. So that's, he might not get drafted. That it is what it is for him. He is a guy though that I really like. Aiden Huntington out of Tulane. And let me see if I can find I want to see his stats. I want to see if he had any production at Tulane. 4 sacks last year. Tremendous. That's tremendous for Tulane, a Tulane edge rusher, because you don't see talent from that place. And there's the other thing. Like Shamar Stewart, we always talk about him. He had 4 sacks in his whole career. Even adding Huntington, a name that a lot of us don't even know, he had more sacks than Shamar Stewart in 1 year. So that is why I'm out on Shamar Stewart. David Walker, edge. Let's see David Walker too, because I kind of forget where he's from. I know I've seen his name before, and I know that he Central Arkansas. Okay, Central Arkansas. See if I can get a read on his stats. Does he have any stats? I guess not. I don't know. Okay, there we go. He had, oh my gosh, 10.5 sacks last year. But see, the thing about that is Central Arkansas doesn't play any competition. You're playing on rookie mode there. So, that you have to take that in with a grain of salt. But again, one of my guarantees, like I just told you guys, edge rush position, they're going to come out with an edge rusher. Could be one of these 4 guys. And they're going to come out with an edge rusher. Like I said, it's a guarantee. I know it's going to happen. And so it shapes out well for me, and it's kind of backing my stance on it up, because there's 4 guys brought in. 4. My final guarantee was the cornerback position, and we brought in a few other corners than you see on this list. Brought in Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky. He's going to give a lot of people that Emmanuel Forbes PTSD. I can just tell you he's not that, and he has actually put on a lot more size. He's put on a lot more weight since the, getting ready for the NFL, and he's shorter and he's skinnier, but he's putting on weight. He's working for the NFL. So I like Maxwell Hairston. He's fast. I think he had like a 4.2 at the combine, which is the fastest time ever. Or 4.3, I think, which was close to the fastest time ever. Cornerback Quincy Riley out of Louisville. He's a beast. He's going to fly around the field. He's going to attack defenses or offenses. He is an interception machine. And Quincy Riley, one of my favorites in this draft. If you can get him at 128, which the consensus right now is you can get him at 128, do it. Go get him at 128. Go get Quincy Riley at 128. This is a solid option for the Commanders. Jalen Smith out of USC. I love this kid, right? He could be a candidate 61. He could be a candidate 128 as well, I guess. He'd have to really fall, though. USC cornerback, solid option for the Commanders to play on that outside to really solidify the room. And then Carlin Vigors, who let's take a look at, because I'm not going to act like I'm not going to sit here and, I talk about the guys I know, but I do not know who this is. UL Monroe Warhawks cornerback, one interception. Not him. He's not going to be the answer. So sorry to, just pound on him, pause, but, he's not going to be the answer to the cornerback position, but they did bring him in for a top 30 visit. And the name you all are waiting for, Jahdae Barron, did have a top 30 visit with the Commanders. He was at Topgolf. Jahdae Barron did have a top 30 visit with the Commanders. It was confirmed the other day. So add Jahdae Barron to this list right here. He has had a top 30 visit with the Washington Commanders. Interesting stuff. And we'll go back to the local pro day sheet in a second here because I want to show you guys some of the names from that too. So Jahdae Barron did come in, and he is going to go before 29 unless he really, really falls. Look at a team for like the Packers, even 49ers could take Jahdae. Even the Cowboys need a replacement for Trayvon Diggs. So in the coming years, so Jahdae Barron's not going to 29, but that's interesting. Jonas Sanker is a safety out of Virginia Tech, I believe. He was at the local pro day, so he met with the team. He's going to be a guy at 61. He is one of my favorite safeties in this class. I love Jonas Sanker. I think that he has tremendous upside. I think that he can be a dominant safety in this league. He would really help the safety room and just fill in, and really make this room stronger. He could be a day one starter. And then this Femi Oladejo should be in the edge class. He should be up here with guys like this, but he is down here at the linebacker. Femi Oladejo, multiple meetings with the Commanders. I've heard meals. I've heard privates. I've heard everything with Femi Oladejo. The Washington Commanders said everything has linked him to the Commanders. UCLA edge rusher, 4.5 sacks last year. A solid option for the Commanders. They highlighted him in the in the Commander Log episode they did last night. They highlighted him. He said he's trying to talk to as many people as possible. And to me, that just shows off great personal skills. And we know Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are all about who guys are in the locker room. That's even bigger than the type of player they are on the field. So that's what they're looking for. Femi Oladejo is that Commander tag. He is a Washington Commander. So, he could easily be there. Just want to read you this too. For reference, from the last year's top 30 visits, the Commanders selected 3 players out of the group: Jaden Daniels, Brandon Coleman, and Javonte Jean-Baptiste. 4 players, 4th being Johnny Newton. Let me pick since they selected 4 guys last year from their top 30 visits, let me pick 4 guys off this list that they could select. First one, tackle Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia. I think he could be selected because he can play in as a guard too. He can fill in for Nick Allegretti, who people don't like. I'm fine with him. I think he had a great year last year, but people want an upgrade at the left guard position. Um, I could see Arian Smith being on or Dante Thornton, who you should see on this list. Dante Thornton's a big guy. He could be a commander. Ali Gordon, running back, could be a commander, or Caleb Johnson. Ezraku, I like them. I like Maxwell Harrison, Quincy Riley, Jalen Smith. I like Jonas Sanker at the safety position. Obviously, Femi Oladejo is my favorite. I think he fits that commander's tag. Actually, why did I just do that? Shoot. Let me go back here and put you guys back on. So let's pull up so I know I reviewed this on one of my latest live streams. Let's pull up the local pro day sheet, and I'll go over some of the most notable names that you need to know for this draft class. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you are in here, if you could be so kind to do so, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Love you all and appreciate you for joining me today. Hit that like button now. Okay, so let's pull up the local pro day sheet, and I am getting that fired up right now so you guys so I can go over the local pro day guys and just kind of back up my point on who the Commanders are going to select and who are the guarantees in this class. So so here we go. So first off, I know I reviewed this in a live stream earlier. Let's go over the most notable names. We don't have to go through all of these. Garrett Green's not being selected. Jarrett Hunter, he's going undrafted out of Howard, could be an undrafted free agent. Ty Felton, we'll start with him. Ty Felton out of Maryland, solid prospect. He said that the Commanders have stuck out to him in a recent interview that he had. Ty Felton would fit that Commanders tag. It's what they want on the outside for another wide receiver. And he's local. He said he'd love to just stay and live with his parents for a little while more until he gets that NFL money. And he could be a solid option at 128. Heard the Commanders met with him, had meals with him. They've done a lot with Ty Felton, and they really like Ty Felton. And news yesterday broke that Ty Felton and the Commanders are, it's really close to being done on draft night. Jordan Moore, undrafted, most likely. Chris Tyree, undrafted. Yeah, these guys are no. Caden Prather out of Maryland's the next guy I see on this list. Caden Prather out of Maryland, kind of like Ty Felton. He would be that commander. He would fit that commander tag. He would be a solid option on the outside. He's able to go vertical, has speed. Out of Maryland, would be a local guy. He was at the local pro day. Dante Thornton, obviously at the local pro day from Tennessee. He was from Baltimore, Maryland. 6'5". I love Dante Thornton. Give me Dante Thornton. If we can get him at 128, which I don't think is going to happen, I think he's going to rise next week before the draft. Just give me Dante Thornton in any way, shape, or form. Give me Dante Thornton. I love him. He's big, and he gives you that speed and size on the outside. So please, Commanders, go with Dante Thornton. I love him. Dante Trader, Kevin Winston, Jonas Sanker, Maryland, Penn State, and Virginia guys. These guys are solid options at the safety position. All of them would be starters at at day one, and these guys would just fill our need at the safety position. Well, I guess I shouldn't say need, but pretty big, interest in the safety position. And these guys would be guys that you need to watch, and you need to keep your eye on because these guys could easily be commanders and fit that commander tag. So Aiden Huntington, already talked about him. Already talked about how he out of Tulane could be undrafted and the Commanders can meet with him. Jordan Phillips down here, defensive tackle. A lot of us heard of him out of Maryland. He could stop the run. If you're looking at him as a solid option, he could be a good commander. But that's the local pro day sheet for you. It's an interesting local pro day sheet. There's a lot of good players on there. The Commanders, wow. Like, this is going to be a good draft for the Washington Commanders. You'll see a lot of guys that go, right? Last year, we saw 4 of the guys that came to top 30 visits as become Commanders. They pick the guys they like, and they have their wants, have their needs at positions. And really, I just want to say that I'm not going to complain, right? I'm not going to complain with, whatever the Commanders do. Okay, because I'm riding with Adam Peters. Okay, he's done nothing to make me think that he's gonna, screw up this franchise. Right? He can't. So I think Adam Peters is gonna nail this draft for the second year in a row, and I think with 5 picks they'll make it work. I think they might trade back. As a matter of fact, we could hop on the simulator a little bit. Could hop on the mock draft simulator and do a little bit of mock drafting. I know we're gonna do that next week though, so I might want to save that for next week. But just to put everything in review, I went into my guarantees, I went into my strongly interested players. And my guarantees were a running back out of this class, an edge rusher out of this class, and a cornerback out of this class. The Commanders will come away with all 3 of those in the 2025 NFL draft. They will, okay? They will come out with those in the NFL draft this year. Those are the guarantees. If you were in here, make sure you hit that like button. There's 8 people in here. Hit that like button for your boy. Hit that like button. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Let me give you my strongly interested players. Again, wide receiver, looking for a big body guy with speed on the outside. Tackle, looking for a guy that can move around. Swing tackle right now is Foster Sorrell. That doesn't really work out, right? If you guys get the memo, that doesn't really work out. And then safety. Obviously, I gave you the names, gave you the list. Safeties, Jonas Sanker, Dante Trader, Kevin Winston Jr., all on the board for safety. Malachi Moore, RJ Mickens as well. There's plenty of safeties you could go with, and there is some solid options at the safety position. So, yeah, you could go with the safety. There is a lot of options at every position. So those are the strongly guaranteed and interesting, players for the Washington Commanders. Let's talk a little bit about RFK. Before we wrap this up. RFK obviously had they're finalizing a deal to get RFK back to to build a stadium by 2030 in the RFK site for $3 billion. Josh Harris would have to pay $2.5 billion. So that's interesting to hear. We could be going back to RFK. I know I did a stream on it, but I just wanted to kind of review that. But it's interesting to see, what the Commanders are going to do. And we're only less than a week away from the draft. And, there's a guy that's been rising up draft boards that there's been rumors about him to the Washington Commanders. Actually, in fact, Mel Kiper, draft analyst, draft stud. He's been doing it for a bunch of years. He has the Commanders selecting Shamar Stewart. And let's talk about Shamar Stewart a little bit. Him to the Commanders, I don't like it. And him to the Commanders is a guy that you're not going to get much production out of, because if you can't get more than 4 sacks in your college career at Texas A&M, then what are you going to do in the NFL? You're not going to have production in the NFL. And so Shamar Stewart, I don't like that for Mel Kiper. I don't like that pick, but we'll see what happens on draft night. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could happen. There's a lot of stuff that's going to take place. And, we need a lot of positions, right? We're in year 2 of a rebuild. Let me show you guys this too. I mean, if these 4 players are available at pick 29, who are you drafting? Like, this is a serious, thought for the Commanders. What if Siobhan Revel, cornerbacks here, who I said earlier in the show was a need for the Commanders, they were going to come out in the draft with a cornerback. I still think they will. Donovan Saraku, I think that's he's a guy, if he falls to 29, I mean, we have to take him. Amari and Hampton, though, you're looking for a dynamic 3-down back. Don't you have to take him? Wide receiver Luther Burden would be the guy that I think would probably be there at 29 that the Commanders wouldn't necessarily have to take, because he is more of a guy that's going to be kind of like a Deebo Samuel 2.0, like I already mentioned. He's going to be a guy that, he's basically a yards after catch wide receiver. He's not so much, a guy that we're necessarily looking for, a big body guy with speed on the outside. So he's an interesting guy. For me, I think Luther Burden's all right. I just think that there's better receivers through this draft class. I think that there is much better receivers, much better talent, much better everything for the Commanders. And I think that you have certain guys that, the Commanders like. You have certain guys the Commanders don't like. One of those guys is James Pierce Jr., who they just don't seem to like, and that's reasonable, right? Because his deals, with his locker room presence, right? So before we get out of here, I'm going to do a mock draft. I'm going to do a quick little mock draft. I want to go through scenarios with you guys. And while we're already on here, why not do that? My final mock is going to come out Tuesday. We will have a mock draft Monday, and then we will have a mock draft Tuesday on Tuesday, and that's my final mock. This is going to be my third to final quick little mock draft here on the mock draft simulator. I want to take you guys through scenarios. I want to, show you guys what the Commanders' options are. Okay, and I want to give you a realistic. Sorry about that. Realistic outlook on this draft and what is to come next Thursday. Let's go to this website. Make sure to share my screen. Okay. Select the Commanders, and we'll enter the draft room. Okay. I want to, this is not one of my mock draft Mondays. This isn't a big, addition on the show, but I'm going to take you through scenarios that you need to know about for this team. So this is going to be interesting. Okay. All right. So Tennessee Titans give us one offer that I don't mind, and I don't. Let's see. Who's on the board is. Let's see. I said I want to take you guys through these scenarios. I mean, this is a tough one. Do we trade back? I said I wasn't going to put much thought into this, so let's skip that. I'm not going to put much thought into this, because this is not a mock draft Monday. So Hampton, obviously on the board. Kenneth Grant, Nick Ammanwari, guys that I've talked about in today's show. No Donovan Izaraku. We're not going to take an edge here. We will go Amari and Hampton because, again, it's not realistic. I think Hampton's going to be off the board. So it sucks that we're kind of doing something unrealistic because you can't look forward to it on draft night. But hey, man, like I said, we're not going to trade back here. Cornerbacks, there's no one real good. Femi Oludejo, you're a Commander. Like I said, this is going to be quick. I'm just rolling through these picks, guys. I wanted to kind of take you through what a draft could look like. And obviously we trade away, the third rounder, but I think it was a win to trade away the third rounder, right? We got Laramie Tunsil, our guy for the future, and he's going to be an all-pro in this system. He's going to fit well in the system too. So, we don't necessarily need that third rounder now that we have Laramie Tunsil. He can really be a 2-in-1 guy, block a lot. Right here, like I said, no trade backs. Not much thought into this either. Oh, Noah Williams is my guy. He's there. Also, let's see. So, Jaden Blue. Okay. There's our guy that literally just oh, well, look what happens. We go running back, edge, and cornerback, just like I told you guys what was going to happen. Those are the guarantees in Thursday's draft, y'all. Those are the guarantees. We are going to have these guys. Shaden Blue just got taken. Wide receiver, Pat Bryant. Why are you still on the board? I'll take him. And then we'll probably get a running back, or not a running back, sorry. A safety here to round out this draft. Again, a quick draft, not thought into this. If you want to check out my mock draft, those are coming Monday, mock draft 4.0, Tuesday 5.0, and then we're done. And we are on to the draft. Dante Trader Jr. out of Maryland, you're a Commander. This is going to be an interesting draft. This is going to be, this is my first year of covering the draft, to be honest. So I cannot wait. This is my first year of covering the draft. I mean, obviously, we started this thing 7 months ago, and I haven't looked back. I'm excited though to see guys that we talk about on the show daily. Can they be commanders? Can Femi Oladejo come and be a commander? I'm excited to see that. All right. Before we get out of here, I'm leaving. I'm gonna review the Commander's Log season 4, episode 3 from last night. Let's review the Commander's Log before we get out of here. This was an episode of the Commander's Log that was honestly highlighted by a scout that was has been on the staff for a while, done a fantastic job with the team. That was what the episode was highlighted by, basically that scout. And they talked about what kind of players they're looking for in the draft. They talked about the BPA some. They talked about it's more about the guy in the locker room that they want, even the player. Talked about that, and then talked about, they are a team that's going to they want to win right now, and so they are talked about the top 30s. Talked about a bunch of different things, and talked about kind of the offseason in general. Like, they reviewed the trades, they reviewed the free agency in the Commander's Log. Talked about, what they gave up for players, and how that affected them, and what they're getting in these guys. Obviously, Adam Peters is really high on Javon Kinlaw. I don't even know how Adam Peters is this high on Javon Kinlaw, just because we haven't seen much from him yet in his NFL career. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer on Javon Kinlaw. I'm just saying I don't know how Adam Peters is so high on him. But interesting, if you have a guy you like, take him. And that's what Adam Peters did with the first pick in free agency. So they talked about, Javon Kinlaw. They showed a few interviews, and the player is like, it's night and day difference for the Commanders. It's night and day from when Dan Snyder was here and Bruce Allen, because players want to be here. Players want to play for the Commanders. Jonathan Jones, cornerback that they signed, he said that they made it easy to come here, and this was an easy choice no matter how much money he was getting paid, that he wanted to be a Commander because he could see what they were doing and he wanted to win now. They showed Josh Johnson on the show. They showed Josh Johnson. They showed him and his thoughts about it. He said that he wanted to come back. He said he wanted to be a part of the winning that was going to happen in the future. And he said that he's going to keep grinding in the league. And he said he's going to help out training camp a lot. Obviously, the biggest reason probably Josh Johnson was signed was because of, the training camp and what they want to use him for in training camp. They want to have Josh Johnson as a training camp arm because they know how it works, right? This isn't Dan Snyder 2.0. This isn't Bruce Allen again. This isn't a joke anymore. They're bringing in, talent for camp. They also talked about Sam Hartman and what this means for him. What does this mean for Sam Hartman? Is he done with the Commanders, or are they trying to develop Sam Hartman? But I like the Josh Johnson signing, so I'm glad they talked about that a little bit. They showed Debo walking in with his family. He said he wants to be a part of the winning. He said he loves Adam Peters. He said, everybody was clapping for him, waiting for him when he was walking in the door, and that, he really wanted the contract that he got. And he said he liked it and he wanted to be a Commander. So a lot to look forward to. To give free agency a grade, I'll give it an A+. Free agency's been good. Off season's been good. And we have the draft to look forward to. I mean, can you wait? I cannot wait for the draft. Leave a like on your way out of the show. Make sure you guys hit that like button on your way out of the show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you haven't yet, hit that like button on your way out of the show. I will see you guys in the next live stream / video. If you haven't watched the video from earlier, go watch that. But for right now, I'm going to hop off. Draft is in a week. Mock draft Monday coming up. Mock draft Tuesday. Final mock on Tuesday coming up as well. Hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new.